was a place where there's no trouble, no more pain, no more struggle.
Hi there. Thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. I'm so thrilled to be able to share this chat with you that I had with Alyson Poland of Barefoot North. She is a homesteader, and she has this incredibly simple way of wording what she does. She's really, really impressive. I'm totally, totally impressed with her. And she's a youngin'. But so she loves longboarding. She loves being on the beach. She loves downtime. But when she's at home and she is doing her thing, she's all about it, and it shows. I noticed her on Facebook, and I started following her, and she said something one day that just touched me so deeply that I reached out to her, and I was like, can we have a conversation, please? So this is it. I am going to go right to that. Hi, everyone. So today I am talking to Alyson Poland. I just met her online recently. I've been following you for a little bit, Alyson, and it just looks like you have so much energy. I love what you're showing. Your jams and pickles are just stunning. So,
thank you.
So Alyson, how are you today?
I am very well. We took a little bit of downtime off the farm today, my husband and I, to enjoy a little bit and kind of keep things fresh. Sometimes you have to get off the farm and out of the kitchen from canning and whatnot to make sure that it stays something that you want to keep doing. So we took a little time to do that, and I am feeling wonderful. How are you, Amy?
Oh, good for you. I am good. I'm good. I'm thrilled to get to chat with you today. So I would love if you would share your sentiments that were in the post that kind of tipped me over to reach out to you. Do you remember what post that was? It was an intro post?
Yeah, it was my introductory post, kind of explaining a little bit in a short kind of thing about me and a little bit what I'm about. I kind of wanted to let all the wonderful people know on my following who I am. Do you want me to read it, Amy, or kind of divulge into it, or?
Either way, I just want to share. I would love for you to share just, your thoughts on that, because it struck me so much that I was like, this is the message that really needs to be shared.
Yeah. So I think kind of what I really did was when I talked about it, I was mentioning kind of why I started Barefoot North. I did it for my family. It started with wanting to be more self-sufficient and leading a more back to nature way of life. And kind of when I got into starting with that in small steps with things like making my own stove, maybe canning a little bit of salsa at the end of the year, I realized how easy and naturally it came to me. And also the feeling of being that self-sufficient, even in just little areas. It gave me a really, like a confidence boost almost. And as the world continued to turn the way it does, these are things I kind of wanted in a skill set to have, just because you never know the way the world's going to go, how things are going to play out for our families and for ourselves. I also feel like when us as humans led a more back to nature way of life, I feel like personally there were less health problems. I feel like it's good for mental health and all these other benefits. And so from there, it kind of snowballed. Some of the things I started creating with my own skincare. From there, my husband said, why don't you post it and see kind of what people think? And then people started kind of wanted to learn more about it, and they wanted to buy it so they could nourish, their skin in a healthy way. And from there, it went into actually having conversations with people who came to purchase these things for me, and I realized I could teach people. And a lot of people don't realize how easy it is to do these things. So that kind of is where Barefoot North kind of bloomed. These conversations of people coming to my homestead and they come to buy this specific item and then they're like, oh, you do this and that, tell me about it. I would share with them, and just seeing like their faces light up when they realize that it's something they could do too. That's kind of what kept me going with this and what still keeps me going.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes to all of that. Preach
Yes.
it, girl.
Yes.
And so Alyson, so Barefoot North, did you name your farm that, or is that what you're calling your...
That's the whole thing. My homestead, my farm stand, my business, it is all Barefoot North. So when my husband and I were kind of trying to think of something to put on it, he's like, well, you're always barefoot. And I'm like, that is true. And he's like, and we live in the north, so thus Barefoot North was born. It encompasses really who I am as a person. I am truly always barefoot if I can be.
That's amazing. I want to follow you around for real. I just like,
oh my goodness.
I'm one of those people. I'm like, I know it's got to be easy to make your own, soaps or, whatever, but I haven't, it's so hard when you're looking at like YouTube and people do this and people do that and people say this and people say that. And you're just like, but it's not always the same. And how do you know what the best one is without wasting all of your stuff? So
absolutely. And it can be intimidating. I think one of the other big things that kind of caught me off guard at first is, you go on Instagram and you go on YouTube and you see all these beautiful photos, and obviously it's filtered and all this stuff, but sometimes the real nitty gritty of it isn't beautiful like that. You know what I mean? So it can be a little bit daunting thinking, how come my product didn't come out looking like this? But at the end of the day, it's a learning curve. Right. And it's always about getting better. And as long as you don't give up on that,
right.
If you do your best and put your best effort into it, that's what's important. And but it can definitely be intimidating with all the information that's out there. And
right.
I think the biggest thing for me is I pick one and I just run with it. And you know what? I've fallen on my face with things before. It's come out a mess. I've had to, don't even get me started on jelly. I have a love-hate relationship with that. But I kind of just pick one and head down and power through it. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, we pick up and start again.
See, that's what makes you special. You're like lacking that whole fear or self-consciousness, I guess, because I take that on really harsh.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess up, but then you're just like, if it doesn't work, I'm going to tweak it and I'll figure it out and I'll make that work.
Exactly. And you know what? There's something that I took along with that, something I live my life by. I worked at UPS for a while, and there was, so long story short, I've always it's funny you say that because things like that have held me back. My fear of failing kind of was always something that held me back. And long story short, I worked in the warehouse and I wanted to be a driver, a UPS driver, but most of them are men, right? There was like 2 women in the building at the time who were actual drivers. And a gentleman looked at me and said, well, you can either try and you have a 50% chance of succeeding, or you don't try and you have a 100% chance at failing. And I said, you know what, you're right.
Wow.
So and that totally changed my outlook on actually a lot of life, and I thank Matt for that. But he said that to me, and that's how I look at everything now.
Thank you,
don't try,
Matt.
you have a 100% chance of failing, but at least if you try, you have a 50% chance. So that's better than nothing, right?
Heck yeah, that's amazing. And so that was
it was great.
That was a dude at UPS.
That was a guy at UPS. He's still there. He's amazing. And I took the course and I did the work and I became a UPS driver.
That's
like that.
right.
Yeah, it was intimidating, but that's basically what I look at homesteading at this point. There's a lot of things I haven't done. I got goats this year, and these are things that I didn't grow up with. It was all new. I've decided to do this. Growing up, my mom had a garden, but I never really took an interest into it until I was older, and I had my own kids and kind of saw, again, how the world was going, and I thought to myself, you know what, I think it's good to have these skills under my belt with how things are, so.
Oh my gosh. Isn't that the way? Like, your parents teach you stuff, but you're like, you just don't care.
Exactly. I know, right? Like, I look back now and I'm like, I could have had all these years gardening with my mother and I never did it. And now what I would give to do that, you know what I mean?
Right. But so goats are new to you this year, you said?
Yep. So, a little back history. I had a homestead in Florida. I was starting a homestead in Florida, I should say. I I had a rabbitry going. I was starting the garden, just kind of getting someplace. And then unfortunately, things happened in my marriage where I had to take my son and pick up and move back to Maine and start all over again. So I went from that marriage ending to having to move back in with my parents at about 23, I believe, with my son at the time. I worked 2 jobs. I averaged about 15 hours a day working between UPS and another job to get my first apartment, which was a 1-bedroom. And from there, that 1-bedroom, I married my husband, and now we have this beautiful home on a couple of acres where I am now starting over again. So the goats are new, chickens I've had in the past, but the goats are definitely a learning curve for me, as well as, we just started making our own wine this year. I officially started making kombucha from start to finish. I had started it in Florida, but I never got the chance to finish it. That's kind of new. And then the soaps and things like that, I try and run a 100% chemical-free household. So I make all my own cleaning products, and I rely on cast-style soap for a lot of what I use.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. So making our own dish soap, all of those things, they help economically and also health-wise. What we put on our body and around our body is just as important as what we put inside our body.
Amen.
So those are things I've incorporated into that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one of the things that I've been working toward, like trying to learn. I tried making a laundry soap that I found on Pinterest, and it was just so strong that it was like choking me.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
And that's where that learning curve comes in, you know what I mean? And you tried that one and it didn't work, so on to the next one.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, okay, let's see. And so how does a person transition to, so you had a homestead, you were starting to have a homestead in Florida, but like when you decided to do that when you were in Florida, was it like a really big deal, or was it, because it sounds like you're just like, I'm just going to learn this thing and I'm going to take that on and try something new.
That's pretty much how I run my whole life. But it did start with small steps. The first thing that really kind of kicked off the homesteading lifestyle was I did a challenge, and me liking to dive headfirst into everything, even when I have no experience, I did a 1-month challenge of everything that I used that left trash. So all of my trash for a whole month had to fit in a mason jar.
Oh,
yes.
I saw that, and I
yes.
I was like, I can't believe someone can do that. And so, were you successful?
So I was successful. That was what kind of kicked off the homesteading mindset, is because you have to think outside of the box for a lot of these things. For instance, it was little things, even like getting meat from the grocery store. It comes in that packaging, most of the time plastic and things like that, right?
Yeah. So
I had to find a grocery store that wrapped it in paper, because paper was compostable. So you could do that. It had to be all trash, you know what I mean? That couldn't either be compostable or somehow go back to the earth.
Right.
So with that, you kind of have to think outside of the box on a lot of things, and homesteading is kind of like that too. So I did a lot of farmers markets for my vegetables and fruits, and then I was like, wow, this fresh produce, and not only am I supporting the local community, but it's just better in general. So then I was like, all right, well, maybe I need to start a garden now. And from there, it just kind of snowballed into all that, and then like making your own soaps and whatnot. Obviously, that has no packaging. So, the bar soaps, all that type of stuff, switching from, and you kind of realize how much of an impact you have on the planet, even in small things like your conditioner bottles, your soap bottles, like how quickly we go through them, and then it just ends up back in the waste.
Yes.
When you can make your own bar soap, that's even better for you and better for your hair, and there's next to no packaging for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh.
So I did that. That kind of kicked it off. And since I like to dive headfirst into large things like that, I kind of balanced out after. So I incorporated a lot obviously I back to a little bit more of a normal way of living. But that month I felt actually really great, and I felt connected to the earth. And I was, going outside, and I would find, like, we had this cherry tree at the back of the property that I found that had really actually delicious cherries. So just even, like, I just felt a lot more connected to the earth and my surroundings around me when I did that. And unfortunately, shortly after that, so I got started with a rabbitry and things like that, but things went south pretty shortly after that. So this has been my real kind of home up here in Maine, my homesteading journey.
Okay.
Has taken mostly part up here.
Okay. And your mom lives nearby, so are you from Maine?
I am, yep. I'm from Maine. I was born in Bangor and then grew up mostly in New Gloucester. I lived in Scarborough for a little bit. We had a small horse farm, but from there we moved to New Gloucester, and that's where I spent most of my time before getting married and then moving to Florida, and now I'm back.
Oh, okay. Well, and look at you, though. I mean, you had to start over, but look at what you're doing. You guys, so I apologize. I didn't mention that Alyson's business is called Barefoot North. Of course, she did that, so I apologize for not poking that in earlier. But she has this farm stand, and I'm going to post some pictures. That is just so beautiful. She does jams, and she does pickles, and you sell like bath salts, is it?
I do, yep. So in addition to the homesteading, I also try and do a lot of herbal and holistic remedies. So, and my husband's big on that as well, the foraging. So I think foraging goes hand in hand with homesteading as well. We like to find a lot of our natural remedies outside. For instance, when we first moved here, there's a plant called self-heal, and it's very prevalent, and it helps actually aid digestion and a lot of things internally as well as externally. And so I made a tea with self-heal and hibiscus, and it had a really great mixture of health properties that helped you internally and externally. So in addition to the homesteading, I think foraging really kind of couples in with that.
Oh my gosh. So it's called self-heal?
That kind of goes with the, yes, it's called self-heal. I highly, there's actually a good amount of information online. It's very prevalent up here in Maine, but that's kind of where the bath salts go hand in hand. I do a lot of blends with calendula, which has a lot of vitamin C for the skin, things like that.
Sure.
Rose petals are really great for calming redness down. Just every plant has so many properties that are beneficial either for internally or externally. So I try and incorporate all of that into the farm stand.
Oh my gosh. Are you guys listening to this? Because I feel like Alyson, you should have your own podcast.
Oh my goodness.
Like I was telling you about my initial plan of like doing a YouTube channel and trying different things and then reporting back. Like, I think that you could be my teacher.
I could definitely assist with that, I'm sure. I made the joke earlier. I have a lot of hobbies, and I like to learn a lot of new things, and I don't want to say I get bored easily, but I like to keep adding. I think that's kind of, I like to add to my tool belt, so to speak.
Oh my gosh. What type of things do you do on your homestead? Like, do you have help, or what are you the cook and the cleaner and the...
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yep, I am pretty much it. My husband, like I said, he is a UPS driver, so he's pretty busy most of the time, but he does help where he can as far as taking care of the animals. But for the most of it, it's a lot of it's all on me. This is kind of my thing. I decided to do it, and mostly because when we had our daughter, I had to become a stay-at-home mom mostly. I work 2 days a week, and I can't sit still for very long, so I had to find something to do. So I thought, why not put the effort back into my own home? So I kind of did that. I'm someone who is very much so, I believe in rest, and I think rest is important, but I also believe that being busy for the most part of the day is good for us. I like to go to bed tired. Sure. And feel like I've accomplished something, whether it be new or old or adding to things we already have. I think it's important to stay busy.
Sure.
So some things that we kind of do right now, I can kind of tell you what we have going on right now. Right now we have a large batch of strawberry wine brewing. We're getting ready to rack that, so that gets the sediment off the bottom, and then put it into a new carboy, and then it ferments a little bit longer. We have kombucha going right now. I believe we have peach and raspberry.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff. I have some new pumpkin spice soap, which is all organic, cold pressed, and it's kind of like the fall themed. It has organic essential oils in it to get that fall spice essence. I've got that hardening. I have obviously the garden's tomatoes are starting to turn, so I'm going to be doing more salsa. Pickled beets are next.
Yay!
But yeah, we've got a lot going on. I have a couple of khaki Campbell duck eggs that are under a chicken right now, a broody chicken. So we'll have a couple of khaki Campbell babies.
Oh.
Yeah, but we've got some stuff going on here. Good stuff.
So you have chickens and ducks, and now you have goats, and you have rabbits?
I do. I have mini Rex rabbits. I haven't broken into like meat birds yet, things like that. But a lot of people ask me, are the mini Rexes for pets or for eating? And I'm like, they're definitely for pets. So I wouldn't consider myself a rabbit breeder, but I do. It's kind of a hobby for me. Taking care of them and finding them. I love finding them good homes. Pepper just had her litter, so she had 5 babies, and they all went to amazing homes already.
Oh, did they? Because I remember seeing that you were like, should we keep them?
I know there was one I wanted to keep, but at the end of the day, this someone really wanted him. So, and we've got plenty available. So I wasn't I was sad about it, but not too sad.
Yeah, I could totally see you as like a badass like butcher.
Yeah, well, you know what? And it's interesting is I definitely think I could do it. My husband likes hunting. I like hunting. We didn't get around to it a whole lot last year, but I could probably do meat birds. I think I could do meat birds. I don't know if I could do meat rabbits. I envy people that can, because I think it's amazing and beautiful to be able to raise your own meat for your family, especially making sure it's raised in a healthy, happy environment. I think that's important. But there's just, I don't know. I don't know if I can do it yet.
I hear you.
I definitely envy people that can.
Right. I know that was our plan when we got chickens. But they just live to be really old, and we like hardly get any eggs. We're just suckers, and we love them.
Yes, that's my problem. I think it's wonderful when people can do that on their homestead, and I hope someday I can, but I just don't think I'm quite there yet.
Yeah. I mean, I know I think the easier part about meat chickens is that you don't know them very long, but I can't imagine not knowing them well enough to, I don't know. It's a mindset that I'm missing.
I think I have the mindset, and for me it's I know how the meat in the supermarkets are treated, the birds beforehand, and I think knowing that if I raise my own, they would have had a lot better of a life than they did before. So at least I'm not feeding into again that mass consumer mindset of supermarket meats, things like that. So at least they could have had a healthier, happier life, and I'd be supporting that instead of the opposite. But we'll get there.
Yeah. That's really cool though. How are goats going?
Oh my goodness, very loud. No, they're great. I love the personalities. They're like dogs. I mean, we have San Clemente Island alpine mixes, so they're a lot of fun. They're going to be for milk, and then I'm going to do goat cheese. I'm hoping to breed them this November. So hopefully they'll each. I have 2 sisters. I'm hoping they'll have babies, and then I can utilize the milk for things. One of the big reasons why we got goats because when the formula shortage happened, I was doing some research on that, and there's a lot of good recipes for baby formula that involve goat's milk. And so I had got them in hopes of either, in the future, if we ever had another baby, that would be something I would have on hand, or even other moms in the area. Sure. I know, actually, a connection I made via the Homesteading Facebook group, she came to purchase scobies off of me, and she had told me that she's down south, southern Maine, but she had told me that moms had reached out to her to get goat's milk, and she gave them a recipe that she had found online for formula, and moms were using it as formula. So I just thought that was really great of her, like an example of future.
Very cool. Okay. And so where did you I mean, I think you kind of touched on this earlier, but where did you learn all of these things from? Did you go to Pinterest or just Google? Or do you have people that you're asking?
Nope, I pretty much learned everything on my own. I'm kind of the person that people ask.
Wow.
I think it's great. One thing I love about my Facebook is that people reach out to me and ask me questions. I've had questions asked about canning and how to do kombucha, and I think that's one of the cool benefits of having the farm stand. I'm not in it by any means to become a millionaire, obviously, off of a farm stand, but I really love making the connections. I love it when people reach out and ask me, you know, how do I do this, or what do you think of that, or what's the best way you do that, because I love sharing it. So for me, I kind of probably a lot of it comes from when I'm laying in bed at night and thinking, I'm like, oh, I really want to learn how to do that. Yeah, the next day I'm pretty much on it. My poor husband, sometimes I'll be like in the middle of the night, hey, what do you think of doing this? And he'll be like, would you just go to bed? So the next day I'm on it. I normally do a good amount of research between YouTube. Pinterest has a lot of really great information. Probably in Google. Between those three, I combine forces and kind of read a bunch of different things on that one thing and then put it all together. And then try it kind of for myself when I feel like I've gotten enough information on it and I've done enough research and I'm ready to try it. I just kind of dive right in.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. I'm going to go back to your farm stand again. Can you just tell us what you have in your farm stand? Because I specifically, I have a jam business, and so I'm stuck on this. But like, can you just tell us what kind of jams you had this year? Jams and jellies?
Absolutely, yeah. So I always like to put my own spin on things. I never really like to kind of do the same. Something that I kind of base my farm stand off is doing more unique kind of items. So we started with wild violet jelly this year. That sold out probably within, I think I had it on like for 3 weeks, not even. And I made a good amount. So wild violet jelly was huge. It's absolutely delicious, and the process of it is amazing, because when you get these beautiful purple violets and you steep them in the tea, they make almost this turquoise color. And then when you add the lemon juice, the acid, it makes some chemical reaction that makes it turn purple before your eyes. And it is like the coolest thing. I'll have to send you a video after. I have it on my phone, but it's almost like magic, and the kids love it. So that's probably one of my favorites that we did. From there, we went to dandelion jelly, which back in the day, I can't remember the year exactly, but it used to be called poor man's honey. Back when people couldn't actually afford bee honey, they would make it out of dandelions because the taste is uncanny. It tastes just like honey.
Crazy.
So from dandelion, we went to lilac jelly. So lilac is also delicious. It has this watermelon strawberry flavor, and it's like summer in a jar. And it's really funny because after I started making all these jellies out of things that a lot of people hadn't heard of, they're like, do you make jelly out of everything? And I'm like, yeah, pretty much. And so I have, sometimes people will send me, I've been sent corn cob jelly, and I've been sent coffee jelly, and I'm like, all right, you guys are just pushing it now.
So you didn't make corn cob jelly?
I saw that, I know, but the coffee jelly kind of threw me through a loop a little bit. I was like, I might draw the line there.
Yeah, that sounds a little weird.
Yeah, it's interesting, but hey, I mean, that's kind of what I base my whole farm stand off of, is unique and weird. But from them, I kind of wanted to do a little bit more traditional, so I did do like a strawberry jam, and I did a blueberry jam, but me being me, I had to make it my own. So I ended up making a blueberry lavender jam, which was amazing.
That sounds incredible.
And it was delicious. I mean, and that's another thing, is I couldn't really find a blueberry lavender jam recipe. So again, that's kind of what I do. I do research, I pick out a couple different recipes, and then I use the knowledge I already have and I combine it. So I did that, and then the one that I think shocked a lot of people when they tried it was a smoked strawberry basil jam.
Yep.
So, yeah, a lot of people were like, what? Smoked strawberry? But
that got my attention.
The mesquite flavor really comes through in the strawberries. So I wanted to do strawberry jam, but I didn't want to just do strawberry jam. So I was like, I'll do strawberry basil jam. I think those flavors would go really well together. And I was like, well, let's just throw another element in and let's smoke the strawberries on the grill before before I cook with them, and I did, and I was not disappointed.
Oh my gosh, Alyson. Did you have to make like 7 batches of that to satisfy people?
Yes, I did, and I only have 4 jars of that left, and I made a good amount of that. So,
oh my goodness.
That was, so for jellies and jams, that's kind of where I've left it for this year. I was going to do a blackberry jalapeno jam.
Oh, yeah.
However, our blackberry bush unfortunately just got decimated, and I think with the lack of rain that we had, it really stunted the berries, and they just never like fully ripened to where they should be. So unfortunately, I didn't get around to that, but such as homesteading, things change, and you got to switch up plans. So
sure. And then pickles. You just made some pickles last week, I think, and you like had to make more in the same day because they sold out so fast.
Yes, that would be the bread and butter pickles. So this is kind of where my husband comes into play. I didn't grow up canning. My mom didn't really do that. I started with the jellies, but like myself, that's kind of what I started with canning, which is I would not recommend starting with, just because it's so temperamental, and a lot of times you're going to end up with a syrup. But so pickles are a great spot for someone to start if they're just trying to dive into canning. You really can't mess up pickles. But so he introduced me to bread and butter pickles, and I have never tasted anything so delicious. I could sit down and eat an entire jar for lunch. But so we did the bread and butter this year and a garlic dill. And then I think we're going to try and add sour mustard next year. But, we're getting around to it. And from there, we kind of went into salsa, which I did do last year. However, funny because my mother and my sister's boyfriend ended up buying almost the whole batch that I made. That's kind of been my biggest, not my biggest issue, I should say, but one of my biggest things is that I've had to tell my mom, I'm like, you can't buy all my stuff out from under me. I have to like ration the amounts to her, or else she'll try and buy the whole batch. I mean, whenever I make cold pressed soap, she's like, I want, 15 bars, and I'm like, Mom, that doesn't leave a whole lot for me to put in my stand. So that's one thing I've had to do with her. But so we did the salsa and the dilly beans, and again, we try and grow as much as we can on our own property. What we don't succeed in making a whole lot of, we supplement with either other produce that's given to me, or I work with other local small farmers in the area to keep everything in my stand local, which is also really big to me. I want to keep money in the community and giving back. That's a really big thing for me, is supporting other small businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. And then, so I know that you have some body products out in your stand as well.
Yep. So I do. Kind of what happened was my daughter, when she was born, she still has it, but she has really bad eczema. So we were buying the Aveeno Baby, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I thought to myself, I want to make it. I want to make something that can help, and I want to keep the chemicals out of it. So I make body butter, whipped body butter, which is 100% chemical free. It's made with, I did some research on what oils and what butters work well together and are kind of the best for the skin. And I combined them all, and I sent it with organic essential oils. And I also infuse it. So I'll infuse it with calendula. I've infused them with the rose petals before, depending on what I'm trying to do, which properties I'm trying to utilize.
Okay, so body butter, and you've got some bath salts as well. Is there?
Yeah, the herbal bath salts. Yep. Again, they do kind of different. Again, they're kind of geared towards what you're trying to do. For instance, the lavender has a lot of calming properties emotionally and for the skin. I have like a peppermint one that's really good. Again, calendula is like one of my favorite, most versatile herbs, or flower, I should say. It has so many different healing properties. So each one is kind of geared towards a different. I don't want to say problem, but something that it can aid to.
Awesome. That's very cool. And her posts are just amazing, you guys. So, all right. So I have a question that I'm asking everyone that I speak with. So when I say the word sustainability, Alyson, what does that mean to you?
So I thought about this one, and the first thing that comes to mind is a cycle, a circle. I feel like sustainability to me is something, when I think of something that comes for full circle, it's something that you can keep going. I want to maintain a sense of sustainability within my own household, so I know that I can sustain myself and my family without a lot of outside sources need be. And that's kind of the immediate thing that I think of when I hear sustainability is being able to do it yourself, not needing necessarily the commercial side of life. I think it has some benefits, but I feel like as a civilization we've become so reliant on not others, but that system, the consumer system that keeps us coming back for more and not relying on ourselves enough. So that's kind of where I've come from with sustainability. I wanted to do more of myself, and am I 100%, self-sustained? No, I'm not. It's a work in progress, but I am doing the most that I can personally to keep that on the homestead.
Awesome. Okay. How would people be able to find you if they wanted to learn more about your journey and maybe ask you questions?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a page on Facebook, and it's actually just Barefoot North. And you'll pull it up, and you'll see on the cover photo is some of my canned goods, and you'll see the profile picture is a picture of me with one of my goats, Stella. And people can always reach out to me via Messenger on there, and I'm pretty active on it, so to keep up on the happenings. I do have an Instagram as well. I'm not as active on that, just because a lot of people have reached out to me through Facebook, but if anyone's interested in that, it's Barefoot North, and then Co at the end. It's all one word.
Gotcha. And I will put that in the show notes as well. Alyson, oh my gosh, thank you so much. You are just a wealth of, you're just so generous, and and I think that you're probably younger than me, which just amazes me all the more that you're just so wise, and I really I want to learn more from you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm 26.
Gosh, geez.
I've always been called an old soul though. But I think out of this whole thing, I hope that if anyone who's listening, I hope they feel like they can reach out to me, whether it be canning questions, homesteading, and I will always help where I can. And if I don't know it, I'll simply be honest with you and say, I'm not an expert on that, but this is what I do know.
Right.
And I've had people reach out to me that other people have made them feel silly for maybe something they did or a mistake they had made, and they found out, and then they came to me and I kind of explained to them, and they're like, I feel so much better. So I really hope people do that. That's exactly what I wanted Barefoot North to be. I wanted people to feel comfortable, even with silly questions. You know what I mean? It might be silly to you, but everyone starts somewhere.
Exactly.
No question is ever silly to me. So.
Right. Yeah. Everyone starts somewhere, and small steps are still steps.
Yeah, and I think kind of what we had talked about a little bit before too is that the term homesteading. I think everyone has their own idea on it, and there's no right and wrong answer to what homesteading is. You can be 100 acres in the middle of nowhere with, only relying on gardening, your own gardens, and maybe you hunt your own source of food, or you can be a mom in Leeds with some kids and who still works part-time but is doing the best they can to be sustainable. There's no right and wrong answer for that, and I think everyone just doing the best that they can and doing what they can to be self-sustaining, I feel like it's beneficial for your health, for your emotional health, and your mental health as well. I mean, it makes me feel better all around.
Absolutely, 100%. Oh my gosh, Alyson. Thank you. I can't even, you've blown my mind today. I want to just take a quick second and thank my guest again. I also need to thank Buzzsprout for hosting the podcast, and Jane Bolduck for her amazing music. And thank you for listening.
There'll come a day, my mama told me, when I find love to have and hold me, a heart that's strong and so sincere. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? Oh, tell me, how do I get there from here? the sickness, will heal the ache, with sweet forgiveness. Wages of war will disappear. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? I wonder, how do I get there from here? Yeah, 'cause here now I'm so far down, and mercy's bound here to find me. When that state of grace has finally found me, will there be music, ooh, and good friends around me? Yeah, yeah. And I'll just smile through happy tears and wonder,